Across the country, as well as here in the North Country, historians are commemorating the 250th anniversary of our nation. And that recently included a talk from historian Art Cohn here at the Memorial Chapel on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base on the invasion of Quebec in 1775. It was led by one of the little-known heroes of the Revolutionary War, Richard Montgomery. Cohn says George Washington chose Montgomery and Benedict Arnold to lead the Continental Army's invasion into British-occupied Quebec, defeating the British at Saint-Jean, Chambly, and Montreal. But then it all ended in a snowstorm in late December, the last day of 1775, when Cohn says Montgomery tried to invade a fortified Quebec City.
He was there with his other senior officers going through a narrow passage that the British, Carleton, had been smart enough to say, there's only a few places they might be able to come in and really wreak havoc. Let's put a cannon down there and some people to stop them. And this was one of those places. And so as soon as they showed up, the sergeants set off that cannon, and instantly Montgomery and his senior officers were killed. It was over in a flick of a light bulb. It ended for him, and it ended the entire campaign, Canadian campaign, ended at that moment. They just didn't know it. But everything had gone so well until that moment. And his leadership and inspiration to the men was so important. He led from the front, which is why he died. In my opinion, had they taken Quebec City, the war would have gone very differently.
Cohn says he learned of Montgomery's heroism while studying one of the ships, the Phoenix, that returned his remains some 40 years later that were found buried under the walls of Quebec City.
He was brought from Saint-Jean to Whitehall. At Whitehall, the New York military, cavalry and such met him and ceremoniously brought him to Albany.
Montgomery was eventually buried at the famous St. Paul's Chapel in New York City.
His arrival in New York was greeted by 7,000 people. There had never been such a crowd in New York City except for George Washington's funeral. And so he was remembered, he was appreciated, he was loved and talked about.
Over the past 2.5 centuries, counties and towns throughout the U.S. were named in his honor, as was the fort at Rouses Point. Now, 250 years later, the Clinton County Historical Association will share Montgomery's story on interpretive panels put up in Rouses Point that they hope to have installed by later this year. The Historical Association received a $40,000 grant from the Champlain Valley National Heritage Partnership for the panels and other America 250 projects. And by the way, you can watch Art Cohn's full talk at Memorial Chapel on Richard Montgomery's life and Revolutionary War heroics on our website and YouTube channel.